Welcome back to another edition of Castnet.net's Vees Views with head coach Fred Harbinson. I'm Fraser Rogers. And coach, obviously, let's go back to Saturday. Big game against Wenatchee Wild. A lot of anticipation, a lot of billing, and one of those games that doesn't disappoint to the lead up. Winning 2-0 against the Wild in front of a capacity crowd of over 4,100. That was probably a pretty fun night to be a part of.
Yeah, it was exciting for the whole city, really. I mean, the next day everybody was still talking about it. They're still talking about it. But, I think for us, a lot of it was built from, coming back and winning on Wednesday. Then you go into Trail where we've had some struggles and get a big 2-1 game there against, hold a team to one goal that scores a lot of goals. And so I thought we felt real good. You could see that we had our little swagger going into Saturday night's game.
Haven't lost in regulation yet in February. You've won your last three, and it's funny what a couple weeks can do for a team. Everybody talked about the struggles in January. The calendar flips to February. Now this team's rolling again. Yeah,
you know what? It's everybody goes through those highs and lows, and obviously getting a couple key guys back, getting Basti back and Miller back, and even Bryden played great on Friday night, and he wasn't eligible to play for a few of those games in January. So, just getting Risling back. So, a lot of those guys, it ends up having other players slot where they should be, and their minutes are more appropriate, and then they don't make the mental errors.
You talked about Gabe Bass, marked his return to the lineup last week with an overtime winner, and obviously played on Saturday as well against Wenatchee Wild. You talk about guys slotting into positions, but it seems like he brings something else as well. You just see that presence when he's out there with the puck or he's out there defending for your team.
Yeah, no question. Again, it's just, he does a little bit of everything, can play in all situations, is a player that's won in the past, knows how to win. So, what else can you really have to say? He comes in and right away makes an impact.
Now it's a unique schedule this weekend. All three games are at home to wind down the home schedule for the regular season, but some pretty big games on deck. West Kelowna battling for position in the playoffs, Salmon Arm, and then top team in the Island Division, Victoria again. Is it another stiff test for this team coming up, but just the schedule? That's going to be 3 games in 2.5 days.
Well, and you go past that, you've got 6 games in 8 days. So we play again Tuesday in West Kelowna, and then we go to Surrey and Chilliwack. So, we're at 37 wins. It's very special when you can win 40 wins in our league, especially now that it's at 58 games over the last few years. But yeah, there's a little bit of that, and then for playing at home, we're not far off from being able to average 3,000 fans a game for the whole season, and I think that's something that's exciting. Right now, I know the Saturday night game is over 3,600 tickets sold, so maybe we could get up to 4 again, which would be amazing. And you're going to draw well against West Kelowna. And if anybody had a chance to listen to what I said about the game in Victoria, it was one of the best hockey games. If you liked watching the Wenatchee game, the game in Victoria was the same. So it should be one heck of a game on Sunday as well.
Fasten your seatbelts. Should be some good hockey at the SWC this weekend. Head coach Fred Harbinson. And now joined with Gabe Bass, Vees defenseman, just chatting with head coach Fred Harbinson game about your return to the lineup on Wednesday. We've talked about it before, but couldn't write it probably any better than coming back and getting that overtime winner last week against Trail. And first and foremost, was it feel to be back in the lineup, and then secondly, make that kind of impact?
Yeah, it's unreal. It's been a long time. Obviously, I've had spurts of being back, but to be back for good is it feels really good. And obviously to end that game off in overtime there, Jonesy made a great play, and I guess you couldn't really script it any better than that.
How do you feel most importantly? It's tough to just come back in the lineup after not being in it for a couple months and playing in some pretty serious hockey games with Trail and Wenatchee as well.
It feels good. Obviously 2 of the highest scoring teams in the league, and then to get 2 wins there, it was important for our hockey club. Obviously, clinching the division pennant and getting that first round bye is huge for us.
How does it feel to be back with a team just on a regular basis? Because I ask that because it can be not just the physical grind of rehabilitating an injury and getting back to game shape, but it has to be a mental grind as well to keep yourself in positive spirits and keep focused when it's such a long process from start to finish.
Yeah, you know what? It honestly gets pretty boring being by yourself. Nobody likes being by yourself, and obviously my family was there for me, but it feels good to be back with the team and having fun again.
you might be a guy kind of leaned on, not just because of your experience, but because maybe just how fresh you are down the stretch here. 6 games the next 8 days for the team, and you obviously haven't played a ton of games, so do you think you can see a lot more action heading into here? I know coaches might start easing guys back in the lineup, but it seems like you're a guy that can get back in there right away.
Yeah, you know what? This is what I trained for the last 6 weeks for. So, yeah, the coaches will use us, use all the players sparingly. Obviously, we need to get rested for the playoffs. So, you know what? It's in the coaches' hands what they do with that.
Well, Gabe Bass to put the game in his hands last Wednesday, scoring overtime winner back in the lineup. This has been Vees Views on Castanet.